Playoff hopes remain alive, Dolphins fans. How are we doing? It is Ben Morgan of the Fins Up Network coming to you on a Monday morning after Sunday's Week 17 victory over the Cleveland Browns. Yes, keeping our playoff hopes alive. We're going to talk about that here in a second, but we've got to dive into this game against the Browns, a game that ended up, I don't know about you, kind of felt a little bit predictable. And what I mean by that is, once you knew that Tua was going to be an inactive with the hip, which we're going to talk about more here in just a second, you knew the offense wasn't going to be ultra dynamic down the field. You knew what we were going to get from a backup quarterback. You knew the wind and the rain was going to play a factor. You know that the Browns are down to quarterback 3. You know that they weren't going to be a juggernaut either. So it kind of felt like as soon as we scored that first touchdown, got up by a couple of scores, you're like, yeah, that one might be enough. We might be able to have this one in the bag already. Dolphins fans, we're going to break this down in a second. We're going to talk about the updated playoff scenario as well. Before we dive into things, though, today, I got to hear from you. Your thoughts on the game, your thoughts on us overcoming these crazy hurdles, potentially having a shot here for the playoffs, everything you've got from this game for the playoff scenarios, go ahead and drop it in the comments. If you haven't gotten subscribed, make sure you're doing that as well. Definitely appreciate all of you guys that have. But let's talk about that quarterback position, because like I said, Tua ends up being moved to doubtful on Saturday, and then in the grand scheme of things, ended up being an inactive on Sunday against the Browns. Well, Tyler Huntley comes in and goes 22 for 26, ultra efficient with the completion percentage there. Just 225 yards, but he did have the touchdown to Jonnu Smith. He was sacked 4 times. We will talk about the offensive line here in a little bit as well, but did something that we typically don't get from the quarterback position as well, and that's being able to move when the play breaks down, going for 52 yards on 7 carries, the team's leading rusher, and a touchdown on the ground. Now, I will say this was it was a good game. It was an efficient game. He didn't make any wow throws, any of these crazy dynamic down the field plays, but guess what? We didn't need him to. Mike McDaniel didn't ask him to do that. He basically said, you know what, go out there, manage the offense, take what the defense gives you, and that's what he did. And he also did another smart thing, and that was he relied on number 10. He relied on Tyreek Hill, who we've given a lot of crap to the last couple of weeks, had some rough weeks. Well, what he ended up with, 9 catches, 105 yards. I think he only had 9 targets. I think he caught every single target that went his way. So a big game for Tyreek Hill, kind of used as a security blanket on there. But like I said, he did on the ground what Tua and no other really quarterback we've had of recent memory is able to do, and that's get in for that touchdown on a play where I thought he was just going to go out of bounds, wiggled his way back in. I thought Julian Hill was going to get in his way, ended up getting in for 6, but also picked up some other pretty crucial first downs as well with his legs, got us into some positions to get some second and third as manageables with his legs. So did a good job in that perspective as well. I would say it was probably one of the better quarterback games, backup quarterback games that we've seen in recent memory under Mike McDaniel. And one of the things I want to talk about with Mike McDaniel is that simplified game plan. It took how many weeks when Tua was put on IR to simply say, simplify the offense, get back to running the ball, don't do all the crazy motions, don't make everything so timing based. We didn't see a ton of that. We saw some timing throws. We didn't see a lot of crazy motion. We didn't see too many trick plays. The ones that we did, like a couple end arounds and everything, some pitch outs, they failed. When it was just a basic offense, Tyler Huntley was able to manage that, and that's good. Now, I do want to talk about what Mike McDaniel, I keep on saying, call him Michael, talked about. He was asked about Tua's availability for Week 18, which is now a must-win game at the New York Jets. Mike McDaniel said it's too early to tell, but he also added the quote that said surgery is not currently on the table at this time, which you could look at a couple of ways. One, I guess it's good that surgery's not on the table at this point in time, but also kind of a negative. Why did he use the word surgery? That gets a little bit scary, and I can't go into much details on this, but a text that I got from my connection with the team on Sunday morning, like I said, I can't go into too many details. I don't mean to tease the viewers, but it left some doubt. Let's put it that way. So I'll leave it there for now. We'll see, obviously, how things go. But if Mike McDaniel and the front office truly held out Tua because of an injury and saying it wasn't safe, that he may re-injure himself, if we got to play already again on Sunday in a must-win game, is that hip, is whatever's wrong, is that going to magically heal within a week? we'll see how it goes. I don't want to speculate anymore, but that's a tough one right there. All right, it was back. The rotation at right guard did indeed continue. Saw both Isaiah Wynn, who did get the start, but then Liam Eichenberg got some snaps as well. And what we saw last week against the 49ers with Isaiah Wynn was a nice spark to the run game. And obviously that did not translate this week. We couldn't get it going on the ground. As a team, 27 carries for just 74 yards. That's 2.7 yards per carry. Unfortunately, that includes 52 yards from Tyler Huntley. So outside of him, the running backs, no holds, couldn't get anything going. Achane goes for 25. Wilson goes for 5. Mostert goes for 3. It didn't matter who the running back was, which in my opinion tells you that the offensive line is probably where the issue's at. Now, obviously, if we're rotating a right guard, it's hard to get some continuity. We're already playing with a backup right tackle. We saw Terron Armstead get injured in this one, had to have Patrick Paul, the rookie, come in this one. But man, that interior of the offensive line just remains a huge priority going into this offseason. I watched a little bit of some film back as well. It was rough. Isaiah Wynn had just some bonehead plays. He missed some blocks that we did finally get a good gainer. He comes through and just completely wipes out a guy, gets a personal foul. The drive completely falls apart. After that, late in the game, when we're trying to really put it away, Liam Eichenberg had a chance to make a very nice block on a run out to the right. He got pancaked. He literally got the opposite version of a pancake from the offensive lineman, just got put on his ass. So yeah, offensive line, offensive guard especially remains a priority in this one. I want to talk about this defense though as well, because I put it right there on the header. They did exactly what they should have done, what they needed to do. The Browns were onto their third quarterback, their third running back once Jerome Ford ended up getting hurt early in this game. My fantasy team didn't like that. No David Njoku. We struggle against tight ends. He wasn't available for DTR to throw the ball to. Plus, it was windy. It was rainy. The defense needed to dominate, and they did. They allowed 3 points, under 175 passing yards, and 114 rushing yards. Now, the rushing yards are up a little bit, but quite honestly, it was only like 4 or 4.1 yards per carry. So you can live with that if you're only giving up, under 180 yards passing and giving up just 3 points. They're going to get yards somewhere down the line. I'm not concerned about that run defense. We did only have just the 1 sack. But quite honestly, we were getting enough pressure, and our secondary played pretty well in the pass game. DTR was off. He's not a starting quarterback in this league. So that's why I'm saying it's hard to say that this performance is going to just up and translate against the Jets, which I think has a chance. But at the end of the day, if we do make the playoffs and we have to go and we would end up playing the Bills in Buffalo, that's how this would end up shaking out if we made the playoffs. I don't think that performance just outright translate. Josh Allen and DTR, where's the top of my screen there? Where's the bottom of my screen? That's the gap. That is the gap between those. But in a must-win game when the defense needed to make plays, we did it. And that's thanks to a few players that I wanted to single out. There's been so much chatter about Calais Campbell, and we'll see what ends up shaking out there. But if we would have lost, if we would have ended up getting eliminated from playoff contention, the team releasing him, giving him an opportunity. Well, now that we're in it, we'll see what happens. I don't see that happening right now, though. Couple of plays that he made, though. The run stuff that he had on 4th and 1 before halftime eliminated the opportunity for the Browns to get points. And guess what? Gave our offense the ball back with our chance to get points as well. And we ended up getting a field goal before half. So that's a huge play. He nearly also had a sack in this one as well. DTR ends up just throwing it out of bounds. We get the intentional grounding call. Sucks for Campbell. He doesn't get the stack in the stat sheet, but regardless, the result ends up basically being the same. But my favorite play from him, the tackle for a loss that he had on Dorian Thompson-Robinson, the run that he had, it was a designed run. Calais Campbell blows it up, gets a TFL. The very next play, Emmanuel Ogbah, revenge game, gets a strip sack. That's perfect. That's a perfect example. Travis Wingfield on the Dolphins podcast network. He always talks about the play before the play. I haven't listened to his podcast yet. That's probably what it's going to be. That's a huge play to put the Browns into that situation, to give Emmanuel Ogbah, who I should point out as well, the opportunity to push his defender, swat the arms down, get in there for the sack, force the fumble. That is a huge play. Another guy we can't ignore in this one. Tyrell Dodson. I should have wrote down who the question came in from the preview video this week. Viewer question saying, where's Tyrell Dodson? Where is he at? Why is he not getting playing time? We found him. Team high 15 tackles. Super impressive interception on the day. His second one of the season, believe it or not, Dolphins fans. I think he's got just as many as like Jalen Ramsey. He's got more than Jordan Poyer and Javon Holland combined in limited playing time. The one bad thing was he did get the penalty. He took his helmet off. I think he knew shortly after he took his helmet off that he shouldn't have done that. And obviously that killed us field position. That drive went to hell, but a super impressive interception nonetheless. I want to see more Tyrell Dodson and Jordan Brooks together, because Jordan Brooks is another guy that we should point out in this one. We've had missed tackling. We've had tackling issues so many times this year. Brooks really doesn't miss. Brooks has been a tackling machine as well. And then we see Dodson go for 15 tackles as well. We can get Anthony Walker healthy up again. I like these three linebackers. So maybe linebacker, if we can keep all these guys, isn't as big of a priority this offseason. We'll see that, but got to give some shout out to Tyrell Dodson. And another guy that sort of flew under the radar today, and he's all pro, he's future Hall of Famer in my opinion, Jalen Ramsey. He didn't shadow anyone in this game. He didn't shadow Jerry Jeudy. Jeudy went for 94 yards on 12 catches, which you're like, wow, 12 catches, that's a lot. But if you're getting 12 catches and you remain under 100 yards, are you really hurting too much? I'm not too worried about that. But no other Cleveland Browns wide receiver had more than one catch. Secondary played pretty well. And the weather and the quarterback situation for the Browns is a lot to blame for that as well. But Ramsey's highlight play came on that PBU in the end zone. Jerry Jeudy's running the slant. In my opinion, Jeudy beats him on the play. Ramsey gave him a little tug, a little veteran tug. We'll call him that. But on fourth down in the fourth quarter, when we are up 10, Ramsey completely shuts down that drive. That's huge. That game changes if he doesn't make that play. So huge shout out to the defense, but definitely wanted to give those three some props as well. Talked about the issues on the offensive line. We talked about the run game struggling just in general, but a few other things. Like I said, Patrick Paul comes into that game. It wasn't a good showing based on the first watch of it, but quite honestly, he was just baptized by Myles Garrett. Hey, welcome to the game, rookie. And by the way, you're playing against one of the league's best edge rushers. So I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass there, but hey, we got the win, and those are quality reps moving forward. Whoever he goes against next time isn't going to be at the caliber of Myles Garrett. Robert Jones, I'm kind of tired of keeping tally marks on how many times we see him whiff blocks in the run game, allowing pressure up the middle as well in the passing game. On the broken record, the interior of this offensive line needs an overhaul. I already talked about Isaiah Wynn's personal foul on the late hit. Aaron Brewer, not that he's not playing good, hit with yet another holding penalty. Penalties was kind of the story of the first half of why we couldn't really get anything going. Too many points on the board as well. In general, we got to clean up the penalties. Brewer for sure right now needs to clean up on those priorities. Like I said, I'm a broken record. Offensive line for the millionth year remains a priority. Let's talk about a couple of things that I could go without. We need a full-time person that is quick at watching every single replay of every single play and can tell Mike McDaniel whether or not he should be challenging the play. And quite honestly, if we already employ a person that's doing this, I don't want to call for anyone's job, but we should probably let's just reallocate that guy. Let's relocate that guy to a different position. Let's bring somebody else in. If you watch the game, we ended up losing back-to-back challenges essentially within a minute. And when you watch the replay of both, you could tell that they're close, and maybe if they were called the opposite way on the field, they would have stood. But you don't have to watch the replay more than 2 or 3 times to say, that's too close. There's no way that those things are going to end up getting overturned. So just in general, that cost us both challenges, and it cost you 2 timeouts in the second half. In a normal game against a competent opponent when the weather's good, that's going to come back to bite you. Things I could go without. We got to upgrade those challenges. Also, one last thing I want to point out as well. The pitch outs to any running back, specifically in this one, De'Von Achane in a short yardage situation. It failed again on Sunday on 4th and 1. You even brought Tyreek Hill in motion as a fake. You'd think the defense was going to go with it. Defenses are onto this. We're not running up the middle. We're pitching it out. We're doing something. The eye candy wasn't going to work. Achane gets stuff for a loss on the play. Can we go back to what we did against the 49ers? Why'd you have to tease us once, Mike McDaniel? Jeff Wilson up the middle worked great. The defenses at this point in time think we're going to run it outside. They think we're going to pitch it outside. Not only should you be able to get a yard in the NFL with a pretty sizable running back, get a little bit of push, you can get a yard. We did it against the 49ers. Why can't we do it again? I'm sorry. I had to rant a little bit on that one. All right, we talked about that road to postseason play, and quite honestly, it's simple at this point in time. We need a win Week 18 at the New York Jets. The start time was released on that one. It's the 4:25 game. I believe it's on Fox on Sunday because there are Saturday and Sunday games. And then obviously we need to win, but we need the Chiefs to beat the Broncos. Now that game also is going to begin at 4:25. Now that sounds nice because we need one team to lose and we need to win, and bang, we're in. But the issue is the Kansas City Chiefs, as you're probably well aware, already own the number 1 seed. That's an opportunity to rest your starters, especially Patrick Mahomes, who's dealing with an ankle injury. Maybe if he was 100% healthy, 90% healthy, whatever, maybe they would want to get him some reps, knowing that, hey, we got a bye week as well. We don't want him off too much. This is such an opportunity for the Kansas City Chiefs to really rest, get Patrick Mahomes healthy. So we'll see how that plays out. I've got my doubts, though. Denver opened up as 8-point favorites. So bleak, but hey, you're telling me we got a chance, right? We got a chance. We'll see how that goes. Dolphins fans, I also want to hear who your game ball winner is, but mine today, odd one. I wouldn't have predicted this throughout the entire season, but I'm going to give it to backup quarterback. I'm going to give it to Tyler Huntley. We finally won a game with a backup quarterback in a situation where our run game didn't thrive. I didn't think it was possible. I thought we found the secret sauce with a backup quarterback back when Tua was on IR, in the situation where let's simplify the offense. Let's get down to a ground and pound game. Let's run this out. Let's throw when we need to. That wasn't the situation today because our offensive line and run game couldn't get going. Huntley needed to make some plays with his arms. He did it. He needed to make some plays with his legs, and he did it. There are a lot of players, in my opinion, that could get a game ball today. I limit it to one, so I'm going to give mine to Tyler Huntley. But like I said, let's hear from you. Let's hear yours as well. Dolphins fans, one left, one regular season game left. That's all we are guaranteed. So we will be back throughout this week here leading up to the Sunday game against the New York Jets. We'll keep an eye on the Tua situation. Anything that I'm given that I'm allowed to say, I will let you guys know in some upcoming videos as well. So definitely stay tuned. Get subscribed if you haven't done so already. Keep your eye out for that. All right, Dolphins fans, celebrate yourself a victory Monday. Let's see what happens. And the Chiefs owe us one. The Chiefs owe us one. Let's get them in the win column next week as well. We'll end it there for today, Miami Dolphins fans. But until next time, fins up.